Hi, it's Amanda Orlando from Warm 88.5. I do mornings with Jim Day, weekdays. Right now we're doing it from 6 to 10 while we're all in the midst of this pandemic. Until we all go back to work, then we'll bump it back to 5:30. So, if you listen to our show at all, you heard me talk about my grandmother's meatballs, or as they're called in my family, the mafia meatballs. A cute urban legend in our family is that my grandma and grandpa lived in Detroit, and one day he came home with some business partners who really loved my grandma's meatballs. And they came over for dinner, and they wanted the recipe, and she said, "It's a family secret. I don't give out my recipe." And my grandpa's like, "No, you have to give out the recipe." Apparently they were in the mafia, not my grandpa, but these business people, and so she gave me the recipe for the restaurants. So that's the urban legend in my family. I know we all have little stories we like to tell. No matter how these meatballs came to be or who got the recipe, they're delicious. We love them in our family. I wouldn't exactly say this is a healthy recipe, although I have made it with chicken mixed with the beef. I don't do it with ground turkey because I think turkey tastes too dry, but that's just a personal preference. So, all right, let's get to it, shall we? So here's all the ingredients that you need. You need 1 to 3 pounds of ground beef. You need salt and pepper to taste, a whole onion, 2 eggs, 1 to 3, or really your choice of how much garlic you like, cloves of garlic, 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese, 2 tablespoons of parsley, and 2 slices of breadcrumbs. And you know what? You can get the pre-bought breadcrumbs as well. The purpose of the breadcrumbs is actually, it could be a little bit bigger, is to actually hold in the flavors that you're going to be putting in the meatball. When I was little, I didn't like the bigger chunks. I didn't like the texture. So I just kind of moved over to the more fine breadcrumbs, but the thicker, the better for taste. So there you go. That's what you need. And again, any of these ingredients to taste. If you like more cheese, add more cheese. More salt, more salt. And this here is my modern mom hack. My grandmother made her own sauce flavored by the meatballs that cooked all day. These days, you know, a lot of us are working. So this is my favorite sauce to use. This is my favorite hack for the Italian sauce. And this is actually at Kroger in the very bottom shelf. Sometimes it's hard to find, but it's there, trust me. Okay, so these are our ingredients. Let's get started. Okay, so the grinder is always empty, and I just spilled a bunch of peppercorns all over the floor. Those are gonna hurt later if I don't get them all up. All right, so I've just washed my hands. This is the part, and I'll be washing them again, trust me. This is the messy part. This is the part where you gotta mix it together, and honestly, there is no replacement for your hands. And if you don't like to get them all gross, you don't wanna touch the egg, you can always wear those plastic gloves, but I find that they kind of come off when I'm squishing it, so just wash. Can't wash your hands too often right now, can you? So, also, I kind of like a good cooking atmosphere, and this kind of just reverts back to, I think for a lot of us, our favorite recipes are because, you know, our grandparents or our parents made them when we were little, and they just remind you of home and, you know, being safe and secure. And when my grandma was cooking, she always had a big pot of coffee percolating on the stove. So at some point, I always end up making coffee no matter what time of day it is while I'm making the meatballs, because the smells of the tomato sauce cooking and the coffee percolating smells so good and remind me, you know, being a kid, being at home. So this is looking pretty good. I'm gonna start making our balls here soon. I don't like the giant meatball sizes. And besides, if you make a lot of small meatballs, it feels like you got a lot, and people don't tend to fight over them as much. You know you got good food if people are fighting over them. Smells really good out here. Hmm?
Really good up here.
Making meatballs.
Yes.
Woo!
Yes.
See? They love them. You have to wait for them to cook though.
What?
You have to wait for them to cook though. That was totally unplanned. The sauce started too while the meatballs are cooking. Just to get a nice low heat on them. Tomato sauce, for those of you who don't cook a lot with tomato sauce, it gets hot real fast. So you want to keep it on low. You want to stir it so you don't scorch it a lot. Now we're gonna chop this onion. I gotta cut my onions really fine because my kids, if they spot anything that remotely resembles a vegetable, they won't eat it. Pro tip, before you start rolling your meatballs, you want a little of this. And no, it's not for the recipe. It's for the cook. It's Social Saturday, right? Trust me, you're gonna wanna have this ready because it goes great with spaghetti. Salud. Now let's get rolling. Rolling, rolling, rolling. In my family, everyone will tell you that my sister is the better cook. Which is weird because we use the same family recipes, but you know, like I said, we don't measure a lot of stuff in our family. So she just must have the better taste buds to know when enough is enough for some stuff. So I historically do not put enough salt in my meatballs. So another pro tip or cooking hack, whatever you want to call it, is make a couple of meatballs first. Taste one. I know it's a hard job. And see if you have the right amount of garlic and salt and whatever that you like in it. Really, ideally, you know what the heck. Let's put a meatball in before we roll all of these and make sure these are gonna be okay. All right, this is our little tester guy. He's gonna tell us if we have enough salt or garlic or cheese and all that good stuff before you cook all of them and realize, oh, I didn't put enough in. There is nothing more upsetting than being disappointed in your meatball. So while we're waiting for him to cook, it's a good chance to take a sip of your wine and think about stuff. Like how to talk your kids into chopping up a salad to go with this. All right, let's test it out. Okay, it's good, but it could use a little bit more salt, so I'm gonna have to add a little bit before we make all the meatballs. Whew. Oh, the garlic smells so good. So I put a lot of garlic in mine. You don't have to, you make it your own. It does take a while. I just got an alert on my phone while I'm rolling this. Tonight would have been my son's strings concert. So I hope you're doing well during all of these closures and whatnot. You know, there's a lot of things to enjoy about all this quality time with your family and friends that you're staying home with. But then you get like an alert for the school play that your kid was in, or the baseball game they would have been at, or recitals, or maybe your vacation. And you're like, wah, wah, wah. It's a bummer. It's a bummer. So, we try not to think about those things a lot, right? Instead of all those activities, we are now doing a lot of DIY projects around our house. I'll show you my fireplace later. I painted that bad boy. I've been thinking about doing it for 5 years, and we finally just had no more excuses because we had plenty of time. We're still working on our front hall. We're waiting for another rainy day for that. What else are we doing? A lot of arts and crafts. I've done a few videos of those already for Harry Potter fans. We got some really affordable ways for you to make cool wands, just like Harry Potter or Hermione. While you're doing this, you can't touch anything or you'll be washing your hands 8 million times. It's still totally worth it. Now when you have chicken, it's a lot messier. It tends to stick to your hands. And if anybody knows a cooking hack for that, I'd probably make chicken mixed with this way more often because it's just healthier. And I want to eat delicious food, but I don't want to gain the quarantine 19. You hear what I'm saying? See you on the other side. Okay, can you make the same meatballs in the oven in a baking dish? Sure. Will they taste as good? Heck no. This smells so good right now. So good. Okay, so it looks like all the meatballs are done. The rest are about to go into the sauce, and you're thinking, Amanda, why did you chop all those onions if you weren't going to use them? Oh, I'm gonna use them. See, I said this wasn't healthy, right? You cook the onions in the meatball grease before you put them in the sauce, and that's the secret to a great sauce. So, I showed you my hack at the beginning of this recipe by using this instead of tomato puree. But my grandmother used to use tomato puree and they would only put these onions, you cook them till they're clear, and some sugar and some Parmesan cheese in the sauce. And she would let that simmer for a long time while she made the meatballs. Then she put the meatballs in the sauce and let that simmer for what felt like half the day. So the house was filled with the most amazing aroma. And the meatballs, the idea behind the meatballs is that they flavor your sauce. So that's why it's not a quick dish. I mean, it'll still taste good, but it won't be like, oh, this is amazing. So we're gonna cook these till they're clear, and then we're gonna pop them in the sauce. I'll make a little salad to go with it, and we'll be ready to eat. The onions are looking pretty translucent, so they go right into the sauce. Put on part of that. Okay, here's our sauce. The onions, cheese, meatballs. It's going to be amazing. Everybody's already been to visit the kitchen to see how much longer. Not too long. Just long enough to cook that spaghetti, and we are ready to rock and roll. I hope you enjoy our family recipe as much as we do, and thank you so much for letting me hang out with you for another Social Saturday. Remember to support your local businesses when possible. Carry on and carry out. That's the saying, right? At least right now. And don't forget to listen to me and Jim Day Monday morning on Warm at 8.5 starting at 6. Bon appetit.
For more than 160 years, Fifth Third Bank has been a champion of dreams. It's the dreams of those who work hard for a better tomorrow that drive us. As we've always done, we're here to support our customers, their families, their businesses, and our communities.